We are basically just over a year away from getting a brand new edition of Warhammer 40,000, and I want to talk about one of the big questions that a lot of people have been asking me, and I've been asking myself as well. What the hell happened to the narrative in 10th edition? What the hell happened to the lore set out in 10th edition with the codexes? This, to me, has been a huge drop-off in terms of quality, not only for the codexes, but from a story point as well. So let's jump in and let's get waffling. So just to give people a breakdown of what we got in the beginning of 10th edition, it was the declaration of the 4th Tyrannic War. The TYRANIDS started to invade the Segmentum Pacificus, and we got that brand new CGI trailer that launched the 10th edition. We had Space Marines versus TYRANIDS. I thought it was fantastic. The CGI trailer was fantastic. In the brand new 10th edition book as well, the actual rule book, we got a lot of lore towards the end of it. We got this huge story where a Raven Guard commander basically saw a planet-sized Tyranid being organism that was heading to another system, and he had to retreat and go back, and we've literally heard nothing of that so far. We got little bits of lore where the Soul Blades were announced, Trajan Valoris, Lord Solar, the Imperial Fist, all began to go into the Segmentum Pacificus and fight against the Tyranids. We had this really cool thing where the White Templars and the Imperial Fist and Trajan Valoris and the Lord Solar were all linking up to take on one of the main threats of the Tyranid invasion in the Segmentum Pacificus. We even got like a CGI animation. It was the Custodian animation over on Warhammer TV that showed the White Templars, the Custodians all interacting with each other, etc, etc. But really, since then, there's been absolutely nothing. There's been hints here and there. For example, in the Dark Angel Codex, Lionel Johnson actually fights against Tyranids. He takes them on, he fights them with his sons. Fully returned to the Dark Angel chapter. Like glimpses like that from the codexes gets me even more hyped and gets me more excited. But then it was just a complete drop-off. There's literally been no mention of the Tyranids, the 4th Tyrannic War, since then. Even in the newer codexes, there's been literally no mention of the 4th Tyrannic War. For example, the latest Emperor's Children Codex, I had the pleasure of actually getting to read that, and I was really excited going into it because I thought this is a brand new codex. We haven't had one of these in years. Surely this is going to be packed out with masses of new information. Hopefully some regarding the Tyranids, with Fulgrim and the Emperor's Children launching maybe a new pleasure crusade or something. Surely the Tyranids are going to be a thorn in their side, just like they're basically popping up everywhere in the galaxy, trying to consume anything they can. But I literally cannot see anything in that codex at all mentioning anything about the Tyranids. The only really one story we got in there was Fulgrim fighting Ultramarines, which again, when I read that, I thought that was fantastic. I even did a video breaking it down, Fulgrim taking on the Sons of Guilliman. I theorized potentially could the word get back to Guilliman about that, and that could set up maybe a new type of novel, narrative, short story or something. But again, that is just all fan theory at this moment in time. Now, when it comes to playing Warhammer 40,000, the way I build my armies, the way I design lists and stuff, is all down to the narrative. A lot of people call me a meta player because, for example, I have a Dark Angel army and I go fully Terminators. But for me, that is narrative. I like to take full-on Deathwing. I like that theme in my army, and I get these ideas, I get this inspiration from the stories that Games Workshop, Black Library, even the little narrative blurbs that we get in the codexes. This was one of the main things of me building my Last Wall, my Black Templars, my Imperial Fist, etc. I absolutely love to base my armies around the narrative that was present. But sadly, I really think that in this edition, the codexes have really been lacking in terms of narrative. And when I say narrative, like we used to get little blurbs of text of like, this chapter is doing this here, this captain had this battle with this being, a little insight into what's going on with Chaos, the Imperium, Space Marine Sisters, Imperial Guard and stuff. And I really think they've took a step back with that. One of the big things I actually talked about on stream a couple of days ago is maps. I absolutely love a good map in Warhammer 40,000. And back in the day, you used to get this cool map like in the middle. In some codexes you still do, but again, I'll use the Emperor's Children. I was hoping the Emperor's Children Codex would have like a double spread map inside of there, showing maybe some of the Emperor's Children warbands, where they're actually fighting, what zones they're actually in, maybe planets that they're planning to fight on, take over, have their bases on, so people like me can maybe make models and stories and campaigns around that areas, because it's all official, it's all happening with Games Workshop. This is the kind of quality that I personally feel has taken a step back in the storytelling and the narrative of Warhammer 40,000. Now also, I would say in terms of Black Library, I feel like the quality and the actual amount of books have gone down as well. Now, I'm not always saying that more books equals more quality, because that is not the case at all, but I think comparing Black Library to, what, 4 years ago to today, I think there's been a massive shift, a massive change in terms of getting stories out there. Maybe it's down to paying the authors the correct amount of pay, maybe there's just a new approach on telling Warhammer stories, but I definitely think there has been a decline in both the codexes, Black Library, and just general storytelling as a whole. Again, another example I'm going to give in this video, because this is where I base everything, is that I'm a massive Space Marine fan. As you can probably see in my little workroom over here, I've got banners, I've got helmets, I've got Space Marine models all off the shelves and stuff like that, and I've always looked forward to Space Marine codexes dropping, because normally inside these Space Marine codexes there is a bunch of brand new lore, especially in terms of like successor chapters. What we got in 8th and 9th edition is like multiple pages of new chapters being introduced, new names, new lore for chapters, given the gene seed of like the salamanders, the space wolves, the iron hands, like new stories to tell, new chapters to make. In 10th edition, that's not the case. It's more or less just been control copied over. If I'm not mistaken, there was one new successor chapter added in the 10th edition Space Marine Codex, and it did belong to the Imperial Fist. But beside that, everything else was either just basically going back on the lore, which they normally stated in 8th or 9th, or just a copy and paste from 8th or 9th. So yeah, again, another big way of turning down the lore, turning down the quality in my eyes for Warhammer 40,000. I'm hoping this video doesn't come across as me nagging, me being rant rack or anything like that. I literally just want good lore. I want good stories. I want to feel like I felt during 8th and 9th edition, like the stories, the narratives that were told there. Like 8th edition, of course, the Great Rift happened. That was a massive thing, a bunch of brand new stuff. Even 9th edition, even though we had like the stagnation of the Great Rift, we got that brand new storyline of like the Lion coming back and Vashdor and stuff ending the edition. And I thought maybe there's going to be another big step happening in 10th edition with those storylines, but sadly, we've literally seen nothing from it. We do have the Prime Nexus still going on. The Prime Nexus is probably the big storyline that they're telling at the moment. I do need to mention this. We do have Vashdor there, the Silent King there, potentially the Lion going there, Gilliman going there. That has been happening since 8th edition. Now, I'm not saying that that is a bad thing. I know some people think, God, is it still going on with the Necrons? Is it going to be wrapped up this edition? Your guess is as good as mine, but I do know, I think they're getting towards the end game of that narrative now. I think we're about to see maybe this close out, and then maybe they'll start on the Tyranid narrative, maybe like working like one edition behind. But again, the big things I'm hearing going forward, potentially for 11th edition, is that it's going to be themed around orcs and potentially narrative happening with Armageddon and stuff, which I basically want to do another video on, because there's so much more information to go off now and potential new storylines that can happen to that. But again, that's just all fan theory and hope and speculation going down that road. But anyway, I've chewed your ear off enough. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. I would love to get your thoughts and feedback on this, truly. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you know, am I complaining too much? What do you think of the narrative? Do you think it's gone a little bit boring? Do you think it's taken a step back? Do you think the quality is as good as it was during 8th and 9th? Let me know in the comment section down below, and we'll have a nice little chin wag down there, as we always do. See ya, have a great day, and bye-bye.